It's been a week.
Yo! Guess who's the T? Guess who's the T? We the T. Angel's the T.
We are the T. We'll get into that in a minute, but we're still shooting today.
What's that song?
With the shooties?
With the shooties?
With the shooties?
And when we have an interview, it's called the shoot around. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're just coming up with things on the fly here.
I'm a hot girl. I get anything I want. This is my world. I make big moves in my big heels. Since the day that I was born, I've been a big deal.
You're on my coast.
What's that? I don't know. It sucks. Watching basketball on the East Coast is terrible. It's the worst.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the MNBA at the end of the day, so.
Watching the WNBA in the East Coast is actually fine. It's actually better.
Just the M. It's just the M.
Good news is, I don't know if I've said this on the pod, but I've got a new tagline for us, and it starts right now. Summertime is for the girls. That's MNBA's over. MNHL is over. It is time for the ladies, baby. The ladies.
It's for the girls, and for the girls who are for the girls.
True. Shout out to Shelly from Love Island. Anyway, welcome to Let Her Shoot, the podcast. It's not just a tagline anymore. The podcast that covers women's sports with no fucking kid gloves, baby. It's not a baby bird egg. Something to be protected. Something to be respected. It's not something that needs to be protected. It's something that needs to be respected. Oh my God, Sarah Bars. All the reasons to stay locked in. Sarah Chovnik, 2-time Emmy Award-winning producer. Trista Crick, 0-time Emmy Award-winning talent. Ollie, 3 coasts he's been to. Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and Miami at only 5 months old. Anyway, we are here.
There's only 2 coasts, technically. There's only 2 coasts in America.
That's fair. I knew that when I was saying it, that was going to get shit for that, and that's all good. No problem. I got a tan, so you can't hold me down. So let's get into the tea.
Let's get into the tea. We are the tea this week.
We are the tea.
And for anyone who's watching and doesn't know what we're talking about, but we got aggregated this week. Our last week's episode caused
a little bit of a ruckus.
Caused a little bit of a ruckus in the sports world. We talk about wanting to be disruptors, and that's what it seems that we have done, is we have disrupted a bit of the women's sports space.
What's crazy is when Angel McCoughtry came on the podcast, she had all these great things to say. I thought the conversation was awesome. I thought she warmed up in a really brilliant and organic way, shared things about the sport and stories, etc., that I thought was like, okay, this is really nice. It's a great first guest. We posted a clip about Angel talking about the state of the WNBA, which is reliant on marketability. I don't really need to tell you what the clip said because you probably already know. So we post it to Instagram, and its caption is, or text on screen is, does clout matter? Or is clout getting WNBA players drafted, or something to that effect? So it goes on. It goes on the pod. It goes on the clips. And it gets
to be clear. If there is anyone that's listening for the first time and didn't hear this clip, which I'd be surprised about, but let's just recap. The line that seemed to bother people was the first line of the clip.
And the first line was, if Haley Van Lith, Chicago Sky guard, who played at Louisville, where Angel McCoughtry played, which I think was a reason that it caused a lot of problems. Played at LSU, played at TCU. Awesome guard, won Conference Player of the Year this last year. But she's dating an NBA player. She was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. She's a marketability sort of monster. And she said, for example, if Haley Van Lith had 10,000 followers, would she have been drafted to the league?
And that wasn't, that was a point that was made in the statement, but it was not the point of the conversation we had.
Well, and to be fair, when you keep going on the quote, she does mention skill and like her talent level, and so that part I think was made people a little bit upset. But the point is that if it's a jump ball, if it's 50-50, marketability matters, just like it mattered for LeBron James' son, Bronny James, when he ended up getting drafted to the LA Lakers. But nobody cared about that. Nobody was getting up in arms about that. It's okay. So the clip goes up, gets like a decent amount of views for us, for our little pod. 80,000 first day, second day, something like that. I get a call from Angel, and Angel's like, hey, there's getting a lot of views in this. Like, I'm not sure if I even should collaborate on this. And I was like, it's fine. It's not a big deal. There's only 80,000 views, like 800 shares. It's not. And she's like, Trista, that's kind of a lot. I said, no. That's for news. That's nothing. Okay. So later on that night, I see Yahoo Sports on Twitter post that to their page. And I said, oh boy. We've now been aggregated. SI posts it. The Mirror posts it. Angel is quite clearly a little shook up because I don't think older WNBA players are used to ever being aggregated. Why? Because it doesn't matter what you say. Back when she was drafted, nobody cares enough to aggregate you. Nobody cares enough to put it on local radio. Nobody cares.
No, it's not a hot enough take. It's not enough opinion to be taken into the ether of the
at that
world,
point,
right? Right, because it's a commonly shared opinion.
Well, it depends.
Well, I'm not talking about our opinion. I'm talking about it in general. Women's sports, in general, typically doesn't get into the aggregation.
Yeah, because the comments that are made are typically pretty tepid. We'll see how it goes. She's a great player. Nobody says, listen, if she didn't have a following, she wouldn't be in the league. And shout out to us for not making it go more and more crazy, because I could have asked a lot more questions, a lot more follow-ups. But so 6.5 million views later on Yahoo. I don't know where it is everywhere else. Angel is in London. She had to walk. Well, she didn't have to, but she chose to walk the comments back to a degree because probably of the smoke of those who were reaching out to her. Just a good step in the, and we made traditional journalists pretty mad. There was a lot of local WNBA, the conglomerate, the machine were like, this podcast is trash. So thank you.
Yeah. And so thank you. Appreciate that. And if we're pissing people off, then we're doing the right thing. I think in some terms, because this goes back to why we started Let Her Shoot and we started Daily W to begin with, which was that women's sports, we felt, are too oftentimes handled as if women's sports just deserves a participation trophy for being there, right? Like, it's the athletes are there, therefore we celebrate them.
It's like Title IX. It's really like just, we'll just talk about it like it's a charity.
And you and I had a lot of conversations over this weekend because, you've been here before. This is quite literally my first rodeo, right? This is my first rodeo of, are you having some mic issues over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay. Ollie's kind of getting his paws stuck in the headphones.
I see that. We've talked about this before, right? There's a level of, can't say that because women are too sensitive. They can't handle the truth. They can't handle criticism. And I think that statement in and of itself, that women are too fragile for criticism, that women are too fragile for critique, is a misogynistic statement.
Well, and I don't even think it's that. I mean, I think that's part of it. But the point that kept getting made erroneously in the comments was women are always trying to bring women down. Women are always bringing women
jealousy.
down.
It's
criticism
petty.
is hate. Criticism is jealousy. And that to me is the fact that I can't have a pointed, direct opinion about the game of basketball that women play, and I can about the men's game, and that men try to stifle what we have to say about other women and only want it to be positive, is, in my opinion, inherently misogynistic and inherently gaslighting me into thinking that I'm not helping the women's game grow, when in fact, all I want to do is build the game. All we want to do is grow the game. So I find that to be quite bullshit. And I don't think that many people are even thinking about it like that, because we've been conditioned to lift each other up only because we believe that the world is always sort of marginalizing women in sports. But I think progress is really being able to say, like, is Haley Van Lith a WNBA player? Is she that caliber of player right now?
And maybe she is. And maybe that's what is proven wrong to us. And then we eat our words and we say, we were wrong.
There's plenty
We say we were wrong. And we have no problem saying we were wrong. That's not, the word jealousy, the word jealous, the word petty, the word hate.
Those are misogynistic
Those
terms.
are
Not
misogynistic
used
terms.
in men's sports. And in fact, I've had a lot of men's takes that have gone totally sideways, and nobody was like, "Just you're so jealous of him. Oh, you're so petty.
You're just jealous that he has all this success." And it's like, no, I'm not jealous.
She has accomplished more in sports than you ever have. So what can you say? Well, if that was the case, I wouldn't be able to talk about sports at all, because all of these athletes are elite and have accomplished a lot more than me. And then we could only have Hall of Famers talking about the game, which we know isn't great commentary for a variety of different reasons.
Well, because what happens is you have a situation where they're either too afraid to say something because they're afraid of getting aggregated, like what happened with Angel. The headlines of this itself, of her statement, were like,
WNBA players star rips, obliterates,
tears apart Haley Van Lith. And it's like, she didn't tear her apart. She asked a question. She posed a question. You know, we saw this weekend, Haley Van Lith played 22 minutes in the game this weekend, and she scored 4 points. What do we say about that?
In a game that they got destroyed by the Phoenix Mercury. I don't understand it. And to a degree, I think it's just one step of many. And I really wish, and I'm not in charge of obviously what Angel was going to do, and neither are you, and like whatever she feels comfortable saying, she feels comfortable saying. But I really wish that she didn't feel like she needed to walk those statements back, because there's a lot of people that are really smart about basketball, people who are really not close, but professionally close to Haley, that are asking these same questions, saying, hey, like, I did X, Y, and Z. I've worked with her on this and that. And I ask myself whether Haley is a WNBA player or not, or if she should be over in Europe, or whether she needs to work on her game and this, that, the other way. So these are questions happening behind the scenes, or conversations happening behind the scenes, but everybody just seems a little bit scared of having them on wax.
It's interesting, too, because if you notice, there are certain players in the WNBA, one on Haley Van Lith's team specifically, Angel Reese, that people have no problem in commenting, she's not a WNBA player. She's not worthy of a team. She's not worthy of a roster spot. With no actual facts.
And quote unquote is only on a team because she was on the cover of Vogue and because she did this to Caitlin Clark. And
so it's like you can say it. They can say it about the person that they've deemed appropriate to say it about, but not the person that they've deemed is protected, because Haley Van Lith has a great story, which is true. Haley Van Lith does have a great story, but we say this about the M sports all the time. How many times do we look at college quarterbacks and we go, yeah, they won 3 championships, but they're also too small. Their arm's not strong enough. They're not going to make it. They're not quick enough on their feet. They can't throw out of the pocket, and that's issues that you have developing a quarterback in the NFL. And no one sits there and goes, oh, so you just hate them and you're jealous of their success. Had that soundbite been made by Pat McAfee, do you think it would have had the same commentary on it of jealousy, pettiness, and hate?
Yeah, if Pat McAfee said that about Haley Van Lith, I think I would just be shocked that a guy on his men's platform was in the weeds that much about a player who was really popular in college on a team that's struggling and has 3 wins and gave up a future first-round draft pick that's going to be top 3 because they're this bad on a guard who can barely get into the rotation. And I am not going to back down because I believe that Hailey Van Lith, although she's a phenomenal college player, I don't know necessarily if Hailey Van Lith in any other environment, in any other situation, other than the Chicago Sky, because she played with Angel Reese before, would be on a team. I don't know. And I'm not saying she's not deserving of being on a team, but I don't know if she would be. And I'm not walking that shit back because I've been in this business a long time.
You're 10 toes down.
I'm 10 toes down. I'm 10 toes down on my takes. You're not getting me to fucking apologize. And also, I don't like the way that people on her team that are close to Hailey are in the comments like, keep Hailey Van Lith's name out your motherfucking mouth. I don't like that shit. Why? Because nobody's saying that about LeBron James. Nobody's saying that about Bronny James. Nobody's saying that about other NBA players, MNBA players. They don't get that. Like, it's kind of like a little, it's giving a little crash out. It's giving a little like the fans that are protecting Hailey Van Lith are almost making my point, our point, Angel's point exactly. The only reason you're riding for her at dawn like this is because you like her that much and she's that marketable.
And I think one of my favorites was all these people saying, I hope she proves you wrong. Well, great.
Me too.
I hope she does too. I hope she does
too.
too. I'm never going to root for someone's failure. By the way, you said there were some teammates. You don't mean, to be clear, you don't mean Sky teammates. You mean people on Hailey's actual team, marketing,
stylists, yeah,
all that. There was, and I'm not going to name names because I'm not going to be shady, but there was a Sky player
Delicious.
who liked and followed us after that. So
delicious. Did you see what happened over the weekend? Did you see it?
I saw it.
Azzi posted a photo to her story. It wasn't Fugazi. Oh, Fugazi. It wasn't Fugazi. It was all Azzi. Posting this to her own page. This was not AI. This was not ChatGPT. This was not Photoshop, baby. This was Azzi Fudd. What did she post to her story, Sarah?
She posts, and I love this because it was so. It was so. First of all, I love the way Azzi plays with the fans. This is like one of my favorite things about her, other than the fact that she's an absolute baller. She posts a story. In the story, she's taking a mirror selfie. And it's like, she tags, I think, her hairstylist.
She's like in a dressing room.
Yeah, she's like getting her hair done.
Like she doesn't know what she's doing. Like she doesn't know what she's doing.
And she posts it and she's like, hair day or whatever it is. But the phone case is what catches everyone's eye. Because on the phone case, you see Paige Bueckers' girlfriend.
Alert. Azzi Fudd posted a photo that clearly says on the back, Paige Bueckers' girlfriend. And full stop, not friend that's a girl. We have been postulating, we have been sort of hypothesizing, we've been rumoring, we've been just in their business. And it was so stark. It was such a statement that even Cosmopolitan, which I don't think was fair, said Azzi Fudd confirms that her and Paige Bueckers are in a relationship.
Well, so there's that side, but then you had the ESPN side that said
the best.
They went sportsmanship at its finest. They did. That was the direction they went. They were like, we just love these college teammates, and it was like,
look at this cute duo. We love this duo.
We had our social media Sam posted a comment on that got like 4,000 likes and was the top liked comment on that ESPN post that just said, they're lesbians, Stacey.
They're lesbians, Stacey.
They're lesbians, Stacey. It's so funny to me because it's like people are like, is this the hard launch? And it's like, we've had like 8 hard launches at this point. Do you think Azzi's just getting like sick of this?
Azzi honestly is like literally, I am tired of giving you guys breadcrumbs. I bet you, because here's the thing. I think you could even get Azzi posting from bed with Paige. And it's like her in her bra in her bra and underwear and Paige is sleeping because Paige is not opting into this photo op. And then it's like, then you're going to get ESPN. This duo has a sleepover. Roommates reunite again. It's like, what does she need to do? What does she need to do in order for us to get the gist?
Do you think, okay, now let me go back to that question. Do you think that Azzi got this custom made? Or do you think she went on Etsy, searched Paige Bueckers' phone cover, found one, and hit buy, and now just has like the same phone cover as like 500 fangirls?
I think the meaning of it is easier to find, to bend over backwards to say they're not together and that this is just like a cute joke that they're leaning into, if that already was available for purchase. If you have to make it custom, it's a wrap. If there's already one and you're like, ha ha ha, look at this, everybody thinks we're together, that's what people are going to say. Oh, everybody thinks they're together. She's just playing into it. She's Gen Z. They're lesbians, Stacey. They're lesbians.
They're lesbians, Stacey.
The most logical conclusion is probably
typically
the
right
conclusion. Speaking of Paige, fastest player in the W to 200 points, 50 rebounds, and 50 assists. Just, I think probably Rookie of the Year is Paige's.
She's done it very quietly, which I think is really what's interesting about her game this year. You know, Dallas is not good. We know that. They're not winning games. But she is quietly putting up record numbers and doing so without this monster splash about it. What comparison would you make right now to somebody else in the league and what kind of role they play on their team and what Paige will give, whether it's Dallas or any future team that takes her?
I think probably Paige, to me, and I haven't thought about this until just now, so this is off the top of my head. Paige, to me, the closest player that's in the league right now, because I haven't thought about the history of it, is probably Sabrina. Because
I was going to say Sabrina.
Yeah, because Sabrina can do a lot of different things. Remember, Sabrina has had triple doubles as well. I saw her actually get her first triple double against the Aces. And that's what like she has very quiet performances as well. You can get Sabrina having a 37-point game and you're like, I don't really remember any of the buckets. And that's, I think, what Paige has been doing outside of that 35-point game against the Mercury where they posted it on the highlights. But you're like 20 points against the Mystics, 29-7 with 1 steal, 1 block. Against the Sun, 21-2-7, 2 steals. Against the Valkyries, 20 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks. So she's doing a little bit of everything on the floor. And even though she's not taking, 30 shots like Arike would, she's only shooting somewhere between 17 and 20 times per game. She's very, very efficient. Less efficient than she has been in college, but she's sort of figuring it out. But yeah, I'd say quiet performer and like an all-around player that could do a little bit of everything.
I'm not as quiet performer, but Caitlin Clark, she's been in a little bit of I hate to call it a slump because it's only been 2 games, but she's 1 of 17 in 3-point shots in the last 2 games. I mean, is there cause for concern here, or is this maybe a lingering effect of the calf strain? Editing Sarah here. It appears that we have to make a correction. Caitlin Clark had a quad strain, not a calf strain. Too much MNBA in our brains from the night before. What are we looking at here?
I think what it was is that, by the way, right now, calf strains are not really to be fucked with. They're just not.
We saw that pop last night in the MNBA finals.
Tyrese Halliburton is one of Caitlin Clark's best friends. They both play in Indiana. Caitlin's dealing with a calf strain. Tyrese Halliburton was dealing with a calf strain. So I think they brought her back a little bit earlier than I would, just because of the Commissioner's Cup, and now they're going to be playing in the Commissioner's Cup final. So I think that's a part of it. I think the fact that she came out on fire right away is part of it. But even in those 2 games, she's averaging 15 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, and 10 assists per game. It's really the turnovers.
She's still finding a way to...
Yeah, it's the turnovers that are really bad. And her 3-point percentage is really bad, as you just noticed. But before those 2 games, she was averaging 25 points per game, 5 rebounds per game, 8 assists per game and shooting 55% from three. So it's just not, it's a story and it's definitely something that she has to clean up. But I really wonder if we'll see. But my question is this roster the right roster for her and for this team to succeed? The Fever have very high highs and very low lows. They just lost to the Valkyries, which was a really bad one. And Caitlin Clark was 0 for 7 on 3 for 14 from the field, putting up just 11 points. So it's just been a tough go for her since that game against the Connecticut Sun, which was, by the way, all the drama.
That was a wild game. I mean, it started with it was an all game back and forth. And JC Sheldon and Caitlin Clark go back all the way to college, and their relationship has never been, it seems, one.
It's not been good.
It's not been good. They've been chippy.
Caitlin's put hands on JC multiple times before.
And Caitlin seems like someone who, I'm not going to say she's a grudge holder.
She's definitely a grudge holder.
She remembers.
What? Caitlin, okay, real quick, because this is not the point of this segment. Caitlin Clark is going to go down as one of the most petty, disrespectful, flopper, physical, fiery, competitive assholes to ever grace the game of the WNBA. She will go down as the GOAT in many categories, and I think she will challenge Diana Taurasi for that medal. And I don't know, Diana Taurasi was very well liked in the league and just not when they were playing against one another. And I'm very curious to see how this is going to go in Caitlin's full career. But she's like, does not give a fuck. She looked at JC Sheldon, and JC Sheldon was like, you can't do that. And she said, I can do whatever the fuck I want to do. She's pushing her off. You had Marina Mabry, who, friend of the pod, really wanted on the pod, hip checks Caitlin while Caitlin's checking out whether she lost an eyeball. And literally, she's just, trying to get herself together, and she's, boom, on the floor.
But was that a flop? Was that a flop? Was that hip check a flop? Because it kind of looked floppy.
It could have been a flop. And there was other flops earlier in that game. She's a robust flopper. A robust flopper. It's one of her greatest traits. And let's be honest, some of the best players in all of sports history understand that there is a time for the flop.
We see it in the men's game all the time. I mean, there's tons of players. I mean, who would you say is the most?
Right now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is considered a foul merchant. He just won a title for the MNBA last night. You got Draymond Green, who's a crazy flopper. LeBron James. LeBron James is known as one of the biggest floppers in all of history. So yeah, I mean, this is just what it was. But on top of Caitlin Clark and her antics, I thought Sophie Cunningham's was even more interesting because they got that cute little white girl on their team. See what I did there? Cute little white girl on their team. It's not a racist term. And she's there not to be MAGA Barbie, not to be a part of Tres Leches, but to use her black belt, I don't give a fuckness, and just choke bitches out. And literally decided to just karate chop JC Sheldon for coming after the face of the league, which is what she said, and we'll play that in a second. But then after JC Sheldon gets up, she chokes her out. And says, do something about it. Do something about it. Do something. Why don't you do something?
I texted you. All right, hear me out. Did Sophie Cunningham get hotter with that? Because
yes.
I'm not going to lie, I watched that and I went, okay.
And then wore the Tres Leches shirt afterwards.
And then I got to give it to her because her jersey sold out after that. Her jersey sold out. She held the back of JC's neck down and was like, what are you going to do about it? And I was like, oh my God.
No, she definitely got hotter. I'm not I think the MAGA really holds her back. But, I think the alleged homophobia also holds her back. But just from afar, I would say choking someone out to protect your teammate, boost you up a little bit.
Boost you up. It makes you a little hot. I'm not going to lie. I'll say it loud and proud. Makes her hotter.
Sophie Cunningham, smash or pass?
Here's the thing.
Here's the thing.
Sophie Cunningham.
It's a one-word answer. Is it smash or is it pass?
It's smash.
It's smash.
It's smash.
Let's move on from this because it can get super awkward.
Let's move on from this. Liberty they've now
Defending
lost
champs.
3. The defending champs. They've now lost 3, but more importantly, they've lost Jonquel Jones to
And Sabrina.
what looked like was going to be something really ugly. I was worried it was ACL. I was worried it was high ankle. I was worried it was something that was going to have her out the whole season. It seems to be it's something that is going to be manageable. She'll be back in 4 weeks. But how much of a concern is this for the Liberty heading into really a thick part of the schedule and not having Jonquel and coming off 3 losses?
Well, also, they have issues because Sabrina Ionescu also had some lower back tightness right before the Storm game. So she was out. So they had multiple starters that were out in that game. Fee-Bitch is out due to Eurobasket, Sabrina out, day-to-day, Jonquel out, right? And then at one point, and I think right now it's the case, the Liberty are just down to 9 active players. That is not good.
No.
And they've lost to the Fever.
9? How do you even...
Well, that's the deal, right? Like when you only have a roster spot of 11, two go down, and you can't really figure out a way to replace them. That's kind of the problem here. So they've lost to the Storm, they lost to the Fever, they lost to the Mercury. And you've got these issues for the next month with Jonquel. And they held their level without Jonquel before, and she missed a few games. I think it's bad. I think you want to be able to like get through the schedule, have gals healthy, and like know what you have. You knew you were going to be out. Fee-Bitch was going to be out due to Eurobasket. I think this is just a time to like figure some things out and maybe test some things, experiment. The thing you probably don't know, Sarah, is that Sandy Brondello and the Liberty outside of last year have always started really slow. So the fact they started off 10-0 and were just like on fire, beating teams by 20 points per game, that's very unusual for this team. Now, you would like to see a champion kind of like use that momentum and not fall off like we saw the Aces do last year. But I think it's just an opportunity for them to get healthy. And I don't think it's a huge deal in terms of like their title hopes.
The Valkyries are...
Put your V's up. Put your V's up.
Put your V's up. The Valkyries, I mean, they're doing well out there. And in a way that, I mean, if I remember correctly, you were like, the Valkyries aren't going to win a game. And I feel like I have to call you out on that right now.
No, I mean, that's what accountability looks like.
I mean, you said they were great. I mean, they've won 7 games now.
V up. V up. Accountability time. I thought this team was going to be horrible. And
you did. You were very loud about that.
The fact that they built this roster in the way they did, the way that they lost players that they drafted, they didn't have anybody in the first round. They got rid of Cheyenne Sellers. They got rid of Caitlin Chen. The other girl,
Brought back Caitlin Chen.
Brought her back, though. Eusta Yochida has gone over in Lithuania. And I was like, what are they doing over there? They don't make any damn sense. Natalie Nikasi, the head coach, was getting killed. And then they were like pesky, right? And I was like, oh, well, maybe this is just a fun team that will sell out games because they play where the Golden State Warriors play. And there's a huge fan base. They're making a lot of money. Is this just like kind of a fun expansion story? Now they're 7-6. They beat the Fever. Their record in general, in terms of who they've beaten, they beat the shit out of the Aces, which like that's not saying anything, but listen, there's not that many good teams in the WNBA. Who else have they beaten? They beat the Storm by 6 at home. That's huge. They beat the Sparks. Like I said, they beat the Aces 95-68. This is a team that has hung tough with the Liberty, only lost to them by 5. So when you look at them, you say, wow, it's a team full of 6 women, you know, like the first woman off the bench. And that's what they all have. And even with 4 players gone to Eurobasket, they still beat the hell out of the Fever as 12-point underdogs. I'm sorry, Natalie, you probably should win Coach of the Year.
I mean, that does seem, I mean, for an expansion team, for a new team to come in and have a lot of doubts on the decisions they were making, to come out and perform this way, I mean, and they're not into real contender status, but they're also not into what the fuck are we watching status like Dallas or the Sky, you know? So I think that's, you got to give them. They play
hard.
You got to give them that credit, yeah.
They're in every game. They've got the best or one of the best home court advantages in the WNBA. They're calling it Ball Holla.
Ball Holla. I love that, by the way.
It's just great. The way that they've done it is a blueprint. And I hate to say this because I was just so wrong. The way they've done it is a blueprint for expansion teams like Portland and Toronto in the future. So we'll just move forward to something better, like the NWSL.
I was about to say, that was going to be my segue. In the NWSL right now, the Spirit signed Italian Sophie Cunningham from Juventus on a 3-year deal with a option for 2028, making her the first Italian player in the NWSL, which is
nice.
She'll be eligible to start July 1st after the transfer window. The Spirit could use her. They're kind of hanging on. They're still up there. They're still winning games, but they're dropping games they shouldn't. They're getting shut out by teams they shouldn't. So, it'll be interesting to see her contribution to the team. There's been, Riley Tiernan still, making her name. I'm really excited to see what happens. I'm really excited to see her get a couple more opportunities on the national team. Lily Real has from Gotham FC. She's really impressed in her first pro season and has been invited to her first camp for the national team. But I really want to talk about, and I really hate to say this sentence in a women's sports podcast, I want to talk about Patrick Mahomes first.
Well, really, it's even more disgusting. It's even more disgusting than that. It's you want to talk about
Patrick and Brittany.
You want to talk about Patrick and Brittany Mahomes.
And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be honest with you. I've never been a super team Mahomes. However, I have to give them the credit because there are a lot of celebrities who are getting into the women's sports space right now, right? In an ownership role, in a money donation role, and there's a lot of people kind of grabbing the coattails of women's sports success right now. But I find that the Mahomes are not just grabbing the coattails, they are leading the charge for women's sports success when it comes to celebrity endorsement and celebrity money. They just donated $275 million. Or not donated, they invested $275 million into both the KC Current and the broader NWSL infrastructure and in its future. And that includes $140 million towards their stadium and developing their training facility and a developmental deal around the stadium. But keep in mind, this is $140 million on top of what was already created as the first ever women's soccer stadium, solely in the United States, solely dedicated to women's sports. They are putting their money where their mouth is in terms of investment in women's sports and the growth of women's sports.
What they're gonna do too is make a shitload of money from the stadium. They're probably gonna have. I mean, it just shows you that they are on the cutting edge in terms of like how they think women's sports can help build their portfolios too. It's not just we think that this is important because we want to grow the game. It's we think that this is the best place to put our money to invest in as well. And that, like you said, is after the valuation of the team went from $75 million to $275 million in one year.
In one year.
That's
insane.
Ridiculous.
It's to add $200 million in 1 year. Not to mention, their team is undefeated right now. So it's not just, we're investing in, for a vanity project. It's like we're investing and we're also creating a dynasty while we're doing it, which is really fucking cool, I think.
Who would be the male version of Taylor Swift that could date a Kansas City Current player?
Like a celebrity?
Yeah, so like we saw the Kansas City Chiefs become a
Why does it have to
dynasty.
be a male equivalent? Why can't it be a female equivalent?
It could be also a female equivalent.
They're lesbians, Stacey.
They're lesbians, Stacey. Listen.
That's a good question. Let me think. First of all, if I don't see Travis and Taylor at a current game, like here soon,
Are they canceled?
I'm not. No, they're not canceled. But like, I feel like I need to see a little bit of,
The Rock. Adrian says The Rock.
Yeah, but he's old now.
He is kind of old.
He's kind of old now.
That'd be a little pedo-y.
What about what's the guy from Top Gun? The really hot one.
Oh, yeah. What's his name?
I am so bad with names.
His name is Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell.
He's got a horrible name, but I don't think he's like big enough.
Glenn Powell's my guy crush.
Who is the biggest performer?
Harry Styles?
I don't know.
Mr.
Could be Bad
Beast?
Bunny.
No. Okay. All right.
I don't think
we're going
that there
down
is equivalent. All right, we're
No,
down
I
a
don't
rabbit
think there
hole.
is.
Anyway, I think that will help them.
You think that they need to have that though? I don't think they
No,
need
I
to.
just think that that's like a Kansas City sort of thing. I think like, you had Kansas City, they were a dynasty, they were really good, just like the current. But what really made them super explosion worthy is having a pop cultural element to it, And so
Sure.
that Taylor Swift connection. What do you all think? What do you guys think that you guys are listening? Is there any player or any like performer, any podcaster that could be connected to the current on a romantic level with a player that would matter at all? Would matter? Is there any Taylor Swift effect possible besides Taylor Swift? Besides Taylor Swift entering into a throuple with Travis Kelce and an NWSL player, which I think would be pretty. That'd be pretty fire, right?
Do you think that there's a lot of value in terms of, you were talking about like who could do this for the Taylor Swift thing, but do you think the ownership means something when you've got Magic Johnson who owns part of a team, or you've got Naomi Osaka who owns part of a team? Do you think that boosts the fan interest in that?
Oh, I think so. I think because if you're interested in the men's game, I think having that former icon be a part of the team, local, and how do I say this? The city that they played for in their men's sport, if they invest in the women's sport in any way in that city, I think that locally fans will feel connected in a different way. And I don't know who that would be for like Orlando, for the Pride, because like I don't really know if there's like maybe it's like a Shaq or a Penny Hardaway, but Dwight Howard would be very interesting for a variety of different reasons.
For a variety of reasons, yeah.
But I don't know that there's a possibility there. But yeah, I think it adds intrigue. I care about it. I'm like, oh, well, this adds a level of sexiness to it. Did you see is it Serena that co-owns the Toronto Tempo? I think Serena Williams
I think she might, yeah.
owns part of the Toronto Tempo, which is back to the celebrity owners, and the font on the Tempo shirt is so dope.
Let me ask you one more Patrick Mahomes question. Do you think that he right now is the most impactful male athlete in women's sports?
Ooh. Can I get some choices? No, I think I mean male athlete, not just male.
I mean,
period.
but I guess here's my question. If I said to you, what male athlete, if I didn't even give you Patrick Mahomes' name, and I just said, what male athlete is doing the most for women's sports, what would your answer be?
Probably be Patrick Mahomes.
So then I think that's the answer to the question. Maybe not of all time. Maybe, you've got Kobe that was a big champion for women's basketball. You've got, Peyton Manning, who's now getting into it.
Kobe would have been the biggest, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely, you've got Chris Paul, you've got a lot of athletes who have put in, but I think right now, at this moment in 2025, who is putting their money where their mouth is? I think it has to be Patrick.
And I think to this point, just like every good NBA franchise, I think should be paired with a WNBA franchise so that they can organically build one another. I think that every NFL team should have an NWSL team, and they should be connected, and they should.
Well, should it be
market each
MLS
other.
or should it be NFL?
No.
Because MLS
we don't
isn't
give a fuck
impactful
about the
enough.
MLS.
Yeah, I guess
No.
that's a good point because like no one actually, more people watch the NWSL anyway.
Like in terms
already.
of ratings, men's ratings, it's NFL and it's MNBA.
Did you?
So I don't care at all about the MLS. I think that does nothing for the women's game. In fact, I actually think it hurts it.
Did you see that by 2030 they're saying that women's soccer will be the 5th largest sport globally?
No, I did not see that.
It's pretty insane. It's going to surpass like I think everything with the exception of like Formula One, tennis, men's soccer. It's going to surpass like the involvement, the money, or like the money, the valuation, what it's worth. All that is going to surpass.
I think it's fascinating that they're building stadiums specifically for women as well. We're getting like women built facilities and also women built for women equipment. So did you see that Trinity got her own boot, and it's like the first boot ever to be created specifically for the woman's foot?
Can I get on a little bit on my high horse for a second?
Could you please go baby?
So I'm so reluctant to celebrate these moments, and not because I'm not happy for them. I
because
think,
you're like it's long overdue.
Because it's 2025, and why are we just now in 2025 getting the first ever boot made for women?
You're kind of angry today.
I'm a little angry. I mean,
I haven't seen a lot of smiling.
I smile. I've laughed a few times. You haven't laughed at all.
I think you had to be prompted.
I don't think you've laughed at all, actually.
What?
No.
Adrian, I'm always laughing. That's what I do.
My point.
I'm literally laughing at you, telling me
You're derailing me. You're derailing
Go ahead.
me. My point I was making was it goes back to I remember having this feeling when Augusta National said, "Oh, we're going to let women in," and everyone was like, "Oh wow, what a like moment for women," and it's like. No, it's not. This is not a moment for women. This is a embarrassment for an organization.
You're like the women's Malcolm X. You're the women's James Baldwin. Where you're
I
like,
don't think we can compare me to either
Malcolm,
of those two.
James Baldwin had a quote where he said, "If you stab me in the back and you pull a little out, should I give you a cookie for that?"
That's kind of how I feel.
That's why I said you're the women's sports James Baldwin.
Like, it's so fucking great that Trinity Rodman is getting her own shoe.
Boot.
Boot. But why is it 2025? Women's soccer has been around for decades.
But every time there's progress, you can't be like, why is
no?
there
That's
more progress?
no. And I will give progress and excitement where excitement is due. Absolutely. I'm just saying this is one of those things that like we should be seeing more boot. Like every Nike, Adidas, they should all have their own women's boot. There should be multiple boots. It should not be one. You should not get one choice. If you're a woman and you want to wear a boot specifically made for women, it should not only be the Adidas Trinity Rodman boot. There should be many of them. That's my point.
James Baldwin. Jamel Baldwin.
I want to ask
the shooties.
Okay, so we've been tongue in cheek because on the heels of our newfound fame, we on the heels of our newfound
we got on the mirror. So
we're on the mirror, which
is the rag of all rags. That's how you know you made it.
I mean, what is it next? Like Daily
Inquirer.
Mail.
Yeah, Daily Mail, National Enquirer. Come on.
New York Post. Are we going to be on New York Post next?
Definitely.
I hope to God not. However, my point was, we've been jokingly in our group chat calling our community, the people who are in the same. What?
The Kashunity.
The Kashunity.
We got her to laugh. We didn't.
The Kashunity. Oh, that's great. I like shooties. What do you like about? What do you think? What are you thinking?
I'm fine with the shooties. I don't know. I mean, I think
I think it should be up to them ultimately.
Yeah.
What
if
you
you
got,
guys
what,
have a name.
What do you want to be called? Maybe we'll put a poll out. Like,
shout out
story.
to the Shooties.
Shout out to the Shooties. I like Shooties. I think Shooties is good. You know, we're sponsored by the NRA. No,
The Dubs.
The Dub Club.
The Dub Club.
That's what our group chat's called. The Dub Club.
I like, what if it's like something like the something gang, like how like Alex Cooper's like Daddy Gang,
Daddy
Gang,
Shooty Gang.
Shooty Gang. No, that sounds a little bit racial, actually.
Does it?
Yeah, like shoots and a gang. That sounds like very, I don't want that. You know.
Okay, fair enough. I guess the point of this, though, is I feel that we should name our community because I feel as if like-minded sports listeners, like-minded women's sports fans, right? The ones who are coming with us on this journey of changing how women's sports are talked about. They should be part of how they're named.
And shout out to the Kashunity, because I'm gonna use that Kashunity. Shout out to y'all for getting us across the $5,000 mark, 5,000 person follower mark on Instagram. That's freaking dope for how fast and how short we've been doing this thing. So that's shout out to the Kashunity.
Shout out to the Kashunity. We hit 5,000 late last night, and we are now already over 5,100. So I mean, we're growing, and I'm excited to see how this community continues to grow. I'm excited to see. I want this to be an interactive space for people to, you know,
send us some questions in the YouTube.
Send us questions. Send us thoughts. We've got
mailbags.
You can email us dailywsports.com. And I would love to hear people's feedback. We're only going to get better with that, and I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm excited to see where the what is it?
Kashunity.
The Kashunity.
You guys like Adrian? Do you like the Kashunity?
She does not like the Kashunity.
It's one of those things. It's one of those things that'll grow on you. Because once I stick onto it, it's staying.
Hey, real quick, I'm going to just say this real quick. A little bit of breaking soccer news while we were on this podcast. But Maria Sanchez, who was at one point became the highest highest paid women's soccer player in the United States, has now just signed a contract to go back to Mexico and play for the Tigres. So I'm super interested to see what happens with that.
That's all the time that we have for this episode of Let Her Shoot.
Let Her Shoot. Next week.
Thank y'all for listening. See y'all next week. Keep following, keep listening, keep sharing with your friends. And
keep shooting.
Keep shooting. Oh, Paige, look.
I'm a hot girl. I get anything I want. This is my world. I make big moves in my big heels. Since the day that I was born, I've been a big deal.